Hello whisky fans, Ralphie here. A couple of glasses of whisky here. Very light in appearance because this is naturally coloured. Very interesting whisky. Very interesting story to tell for itself, and I'm going to continue to add to that story with my experience, my observations on bottling from Inchdairney Distillery in the Kingdom of Fife. This is Ralphie Review 1096 extras from the Whisky Bothy. So when I bought this whisky, one of the first things I noticed, and I'll just pop the bottle into its container and put the container down on the barrel where you can see it. There you go. I was intrigued. I was just curious. And you know what they say about the cat? Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Now, that's a bit of an analogy. We don't want to be killing cats, although cats are responsible for killing a lot of birds and mice. And they're ruthless about it, but hey, that's Mother Nature for you. But I bought this whisky out of curiosity. The first thing I noticed was the price. It was roughly about £80. And I thought to myself, actually, there's other whiskies out there which are notably cheaper and offering good value. So why should I go and buy this? And I bought it because I was just curious. I was curious to see what they were actually bringing to the market and presenting. When it arrived, you have this tin box, right? And inside, you have this glass bottle. So I open it, pour a glass, and I quite enjoy the experience. It's very smoky. I like smoky whisky. This is why in my stash I've got a lot of old Lagavulins from the 1990s. Because Lagavulins always been a great smoky whisky. Not so much peaty, more smoky. But I'm looking at this bottle, and I have to say, malt mates, alarm bells are ringing. Let's start with the shape of it. Does this look like a whisky bottle to you? This looks like a 1930s gin bottle, or an eau de vie bottle, or an Italian liqueur bottle. It is broad at the shoulders, quite dramatically so, narrow at the base, and it has a big heavy stopper on top. It has been sprayed with plastic, and then it's had writing sprayed on it, and then they've attached this wedge-shaped label, which gives a quite unbalanced appearance. It's only when you look closer you see the ripples. Can you see the ripples? I'll roll the bottle a wee bit so you can see the ripples at the side of the bottle. So we're looking at a specifically commissioned designer bottle rather than a standard bottle, which has then been sprayed with plastic to give it texture. And you notice this particularly in the neck of the bottle. Can you see that? Because that is in fact a clear bottle, but it's been sprayed with plastic ink. The stopper is heavy. It's metal composite, and it has a washer in the middle, so it's a constructed metal composite made up of several parts put together. The base is very narrow, so when you've got these broad shoulders and the centre of gravity is being lifted up the bottle, and then you add a big heavy weighty metal compound, metal composite stopper on top, you get an unstable bottle. This is exactly the sort of bottle that when it's sitting in the bar and you bump the bar or bump the table, it falls over. Let's have a look at the tin. This tin has been specially commissioned. It's got some lovely details on it. It's got a little sticker on it that says 2017-2025 raw, right? So they've paid for an extra sticker to go in the tin. On the back they give you some insight into the way they make their whisky. They have a hammer mill for the barley, and that's really interesting to know. And they believe that it gives a uniqueness to the whisky. Certainly the presentation gives a uniqueness to the whisky, because then you pick up in the detail, and you'll love this. The actual lid of the tin is a reflection of the stopper in the bottle. They're both roughly the same shape. The tin, we might as well go for it now. The tin is lined with a burnt orange sleeve, and this is at the point when you notice that the tin is perforated. These perforations add to the cost of the tin. The customization of the lid adds to the cost of the tin. The little dent at the side of the tin to help you remove the lid. Oh, it's fallen down the inside now. Excuse me. Little dent there. I think you probably can see if I hold it up. There we go. That adds to the cost of the tin. If you go to the official distillery website, they'll present the tin as an option for £3. So they're giving us an idea of the extra costs to us of their adventurous branding. Now, I'm sure that their consultant branding designer had an absolute field day here. In fact, I don't doubt for a minute that some boutique consultancy somewhere is going to win an award for their exciting, innovative, dangerous, groundbreaking ideas, which are leaving me absolutely cold. And I'll tell you the number one reason, because I'm looking at the cost of this. Now let's introduce two more successful Scotch whisky brands which have not invested in this nonsense. Here's one, and here's another. None of these are standard bottles, but when you look at the Ardnamurchan bottle, you see immediately it has a broader base, the centre of gravity is lower, it is more stable, and it's a simple bottle flask. So is Isle of Arran. It's a simple bottle cask. A bottle flask. That's what it is. On the Isle of Arran, you have Braille, right? They're virtually the only distillery that does it. So when you have all this innovation going on, why on earth did they not include Braille for people who are sight challenged? Because that is genuinely useful and genuinely helpful, and it comes across very positively. With this Isle of Arran, there is no tin. With the Ardnamurchan, there is no tin, there is no tube, there is no tub. You're paying for the bottle and the stopper, and the stoppers are wood, which are very recyclable, unlike this, which is a composite plastic metal combination, which is harder to recycle. The information on these two bottlings is immediate, transparent, and the sort of innovation which is useful to us. It says unchill filtered natural colour, so does this, but with a whole load of more information that we start to find a little bit confusing. For example, the use of hammer mills and seasonal production in which there's no actual volume declared. So I'm putting these two other bottles aside away. Let's come back to this again. How much is this presentation adding to the price of what we're paying? Now, I personally have calculated that it's at least £10 sterling UK. £10. We know for a fact, because they state it on their website, it's £3 for the tin, and they won't be making any profit off of that. This specially commissioned boutique bespoke bottle probably doubles the price, at least double the price of a standard bottle, with the extra preparation of it, which goes to the extent, and not many people will spot this, when you get, right, your flashlight and you shine it down the outside of the bottle, you can peek down the inside of the bottle. I mean, you've got to hand it to the designer. And you will see Inchdairney Distillery appear on the surface of the whisky. Because it's actually part of the plastic spraying of the bottle. The novelty, by the way, very quickly wears off, because to get such an effect simply adds cost. So instead of £60 or £70 a bottle, we're looking at £80 a bottle. Does this draw us to want to buy this brand? An unstable bottle, an indulgent, very wasteful, environmental hostile stopper, an environmental hostile tin, which it says at the bottom, recycle. It says, what does it say? Won't be a minute. Recycle tin. Aye, that's fine. Recycle it as what? A spaghetti colander? This bottle looks like it would be more at home as a Molotov cocktail in an episode of Star Wars. What's alienating me as a whiskey drinker is this bombastic exercise in over-presentation and tasteless drama that they're putting into this bottle. And I have to say, it's driving me away from the brand very rapidly. We've seen this before with Bladnoch, a small square flask bottle that, due to an optical illusion, looks smaller than it actually is, and then the big, heavy, weighty composite stopper on top, for which we are paying, what, £3? £5? More? We don't know. But a word of advice to distilleries. Be very, very careful with your branding, because more is not necessarily better. What appeals to the seasoned, experienced whiskey drinker that is your customer these days, and certainly tomorrow, is an unpretentious, thoughtful delivery of the quality of the liquor in a humble but tasteful, descriptive bottle, which when we look at it, we know that there's not a lot of plastic involved, and it is easy to recycle in a bottle bank. Glass is one of the most easily recyclable commodities that we buy from shops. A lot of the damage to the global environment is now happening because of the overuse of plastics and of metals which are simply flattened, squashed and put into landfill. And this whole idea, recycle tin, recycle. Recycle is what exactly? If we were to recycle everything that we were encouraged to recycle, our houses would be municipal dumps. There needs to be a reality check about this, and that's all I have. I'm not quite finished yet. See this little label here? See this little ripple at the side of the bottle? Absolutely pointless. It's in the wrong place. It's too much. It's actually, you can actually see it physically pushing the label aside so there's less information can go on the label. Anyway, I've said what I have to say. Take it or leave it, malt mates. As always, this is purely an opinion. And I'm giving this opinion because I bought this bottle with my money, which you provide to me through the advertising revenue and being Patreon subscribers. And when I spend that money, it's first and foremost at the front of my mind that I am looking for intelligent delivery of good product, because it makes my reviews so much easier to deliver to you with a positive note. Thank you.